Welcome to MSG PM, presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Your app is ready, Emperor. My name is Kazim Famiwide. It is Thursday, September 16th, and you are checking out a New York Rangers victory led on the back of Artemi Panarin when he's had 2 assists against the New Jersey Devils. So we're going to talk a little Rangers hockey. We're going to talk a little bit NFL odds with the MVPs, the Super Bowl, whole lot of stuff we're going to cover. But before we get into any of that, you know what I got to do? Tagging my tag team partner, the one, the only, Jeff Eisenband. Jeff, the New York Rangers schedule kicks off October 13th when they take on the Washington Capitals. It's a brand new season for the Blue Shirts. What can you expect from them?
Well, first of all, Kaz, I'm glad you tagged me in and not Trae Young. You haven't gone that far. All of a sudden, tag me in.
Hey, we don't like cheaters over here in the garden, all right? We don't like cheaters like Trae.
Yeah, we saw what happened at SmackDown. We're good to still have you here, Kaz. But you're right. The Rangers, this was an incredible Artemi Panarin game last year, and Artemi Panarin, a guy who had 58 points in just 42 games last year. That was 17 goals, 41 assists. That's 1.38 points per game. That's more than a point per game, but just 18 of those 58 points came on the power play. So that's where I'm looking for maybe some improvement from Artemi Panarin this season. I think, look, the reason, and we talk about we're less than a month away from the regular season, and some Rangers fans were maybe waiting for some big moves in the offseason. The reason you don't make those moves is, you have the veterans, you have Artemi Panarin, you have Mika Zibanejad, you have Chris Kreider, and then the youngsters on this team are just incredible. And I think that you continue to invest in these youngsters and continue to think that you're building for the next 5 to 10 years here with guys like Igor Shesterkin, Alexei Lafreniere, Vitaly Kravtsov, Capo Caco, Adam Fox, who won the Norris Trophy last year, and Keandre Miller. There's such a great young core with the Rangers, and that's why you continue to be excited despite not making big moves, with improvement coming from this team.
Jeff, it doesn't matter what sport, what league it is. The quickest way to improvement is to win your division. So, producers, full screen me real quick. Let's take a look at those odds for the Metropolitan Division. The New York Islanders obviously leading the way with plus 350 odds, followed by the Pittsburgh Penguins. The New York Rangers not too far behind, sharing the same odds as the Washington Capitals, the Hurricanes, and the Flyers right behind them. Jeff, what sticks out the most to you right here?
Well, a lot of that plus 500 sweet spot there. We just talked about the Rangers and the youngsters and the continued improvement that team is going to have now, playing in that full 82-game season, maybe a little bit more under Shesterkin's belt to really, expect more from him this year. But the Washington Capitals, I mean, look, and in New York, we try not to speak that positively about the Washington Capitals. But when you really look at it from an objective perspective, before last season, the Capitals have won the last 5 Metropolitan Division crowns, and they tied with the Penguins for the most points in the East Division last year. So for the Capitals to sit here at the 3rd best odds, despite the maybe aging Alex Ovechkin, Nicholas Backstrom, Kuznetsov, Tom Wilson, the players that they have, they're still going to be in the thick of things. And then the Carolina Hurricanes, who weren't necessarily in the East, but they won their own division last year and will continue to improve. Those 3 teams at plus 500, you're getting a good bet whoever you take right there.
We spent a little time in the ice. Let's switch it over to the gridiron real quick. Week 1 is in the books, and now some odds have shifted as far as the Pro Football Championship in the NFL. Let's check out some odds, producers. The Kansas City Chiefs, after a big comeback win against the Cleveland Browns, lead the odds with plus 500. Not too far behind in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's Buccaneers with plus 600 odds. The Los Angeles Rams look really good on Sunday Night Football. So did the San Francisco 49ers. The Buffalo Bills, despite the loss, are still up there as favorites, and the surprising Green Bay Packers, who did not look all that impressive this week against New Orleans Saints, with plus 1,400 odds. Jeff, out of all these teams here, which team looks the most promising to you?
Look, promising Kansas City Chiefs. In terms of value, the San Francisco 49ers were a team I was high on coming into this season. Remember, they had the best record in the NFC 2 years ago. They made the Super Bowl. They were just a few plays away from winning the Super Bowl if they didn't blow it in the 4th quarter against the Chiefs. And I think they had a lot of injuries last year. You get guys like Nick Bosa back this year. The quarterback controversy, I think in week 1, not a controversy. They give Trey Lance a couple snaps. They have Jimmy Garoppolo, who throws for over 300 yards. And then the running game. This is what has been the 49ers' bread and butter the last few years. They lose Raheem Mostert. Everyone's so hyped up about Trey Sermon. They don't even suit him up. They plug in Elijah Mitchell. I'd love to take a poll of NFL fans and know who knew Elijah Mitchell before he ran for 100 yards. I mean, Kaz, you could put me out there in a 49ers uniform. I think I could get you 15 yards and a touchdown if you put me by the goal line. They're that good when it comes to the schemes. I know there's people frustrated. They're like, why did you draft Trey Sermon? Why did I put him on my fantasy team if you're not even going to play him? But this is what they run with Kyle Shanahan. They find the best running backs, the guys that are going to be productive, and every week they just plug him in behind that offensive line, and it works. So I think we're going to continue to see an improved 49ers team. Plus 1,300 is a great look there. And then the Packers, I just want to say, just don't run away from the Packers. I mean, the Packers were maybe going for it on 4th down away from the Super Bowl last year. Same team. They're coming home to Lambeau against the Lions. That NFC North is not a good division this year. I think they'll make the playoffs so that you start from that, winning the division, and then you work from there.
You know, Jeff, the old adage has always been, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. So as much as you like the San Francisco 49ers, I think a lot of people are going to hope that you're wrong here. And they go further with the added additions of Trey Lance and the people that they lost last year due to several protocols and just injuries as well. Speaking of quarterbacks, they usually lead the odds when it comes to NFL MVPs, rather. So full screen me real quick and let's see who can take home the hardware this season. No surprise there, the gunslinger Patrick Mahomes leads the odds with plus 450. Kyler Murray, who looked absolutely electrifying on week 1 with plus 1,000 odds, sharing the same odds as Tom Brady, the GOAT. Followed by Matthew Stafford, who looked great on Sunday Night Football. Josh Allen and Russell Wilson round out that top 6. Which name stands out the most to you here?
So, Kaz, I tweeted about halfway through the first set of games on Sunday. I said, get Kyler Murray with whatever MVP odds you can right now, because it's just going to continue to change, because he had that incredible, and it wasn't the volume of the numbers, his passing yards, his rush, he only rushed for 20 yards, but the fact that he was able to throw for 4 touchdowns, to run for another touchdown, the way we saw that improved Arizona Cardinals team, Kyler Murray, the fact that he's still double odds to Patrick Mahomes more than double after this first week is shocking to me, because Kyler Murray is that, we talk about it when we talk about basketball, that high stats, probably good team, not great team guy who is in that sweet spot for MVP this season, and a guy who hasn't done it. And we've seen a lot of rushing and passing quarterbacks have that ability. We saw Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago to accumulate those stats to win the MVP. The other guy that I'm going to say, and we've talked about this for the last decade, basically, is Russell Wilson there at plus 1,500. I don't think people quite comprehend what he did in that game against the Indianapolis Colts have one of the best defenses, especially against the pass game in the NFL. You're going on the road into Indianapolis, and he looked comfortable the entire game. He looked like he was at practice out there, Russell Wilson. I thought that was an incredible performance. Matthew Stafford's obviously working his way up, and he's another guy that maybe these are going to be the best odds that you can get him at, because I talked about that rushing schematic that the San Francisco 49ers have. Well, the Los Angeles Rams have that same schematic when it comes to the passing game, when it comes to Sean McVay, and it comes to plug in a guy. And we saw what Jared Goff was doing. We saw what Jared Goff did this week with the Lions. We saw he had a bad interception. He had a couple bad plays. Just a totally different night and day player in Matthew Stafford. So his odds, like Kyler Murray, will continue to go up, to go down.
Yeah, hear you on all that, Jeff. Kyler Murray looked great. Russell Wilson looked great. Let us not understate the fact that Patrick Mahomes, 2-touchdown comeback against a loaded Cleveland Browns team. He is still that dude. Jeff, we're going to throw New York back to the ice.
It's his award to lose, Kaz. It's his award to lose.
It absolutely is. I'll watch those sidearm throws all day long, as long as he continues to get it done. We're going to throw New York back to the ice real quick. That's my good friend Jeff Eisenband. I am Kazim Famiuide, and this is MSG PM, presented for the people by Caesars Sportsbook. Your app is ready, Emperor. Check you later.